Let us finally review Terrifier 2.
Well, sometimes that is better.
Hey everybody, what's up? Killjoy, Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Today we're talking a little bit about Mr. Art the Clown back in black for his sequel, Terrifier 2, where he is very wholesome and generous. What a surprise from Damien Leone. I'm totally kidding. Let's talk about how messed up this freaking movie is and how I cannot believe they put this thing in theaters. But before we do that, I'm gonna need y'all to like this video and subscribe for more horror content in the future, and hopefully updates on Terrifier 3. Come on, Damien, let's make it happen. So first, I would like to apologize for not having this review out earlier, as well as probably not being able to have a Hellraiser review out today because I had been throwing up all morning. That late night Wendy's was a bad idea, and honestly, I feel like it's kind of apropos because I'm now going to review the grossest horror movie of the year. Getting into a non-spoiler review, Terrifier 2 is amazing. This is Art the Clown's world, and we are just living in it. This movie is truly the grossest thing I have ever seen on the big screen in a movie theater. If you have tickets to go see this thing, do everything in your power to see this. This is maybe horror history here, because I don't know if we'll ever be able to see something this nasty, this brutal, ever again on screen. On the big ol' nasty silver screen, that is. Now, of course, Terrifier 2 delivers on all of that, but it also brings us a nice family drama story, like that's just like the plot line of this entire thing, and a main character who is just as strong as our villain. Sienna is an amazing protagonist and so iconic to go up against one of the most iconic slasher villains from the past like 10 years or so. The costume is so recognizable, she's such an awesome character and very well written. This was my favorite part of the entire movie. The fact that we had a really strong final girl to go up against a really strong villain here. That was a little problem I had with the first Terrifier. I still love that movie, and Art the Clown, David Howard Thornton's performance in that movie is fucking awesome too, and he definitely tops it here too. We'll get into that in the spoiler section, but he never really had a character to specifically play off of. It kind of just felt like a bunch of short films put together with Art the Clown killing people, and it's still awesome, I love it, but Terrifier 2 blows it out of the water in every single facet. There are certain characters where I was almost like tearing up because I was sad that they were gonna die, and you kind of like saw it coming and you're like, oh no, like, oh shit, I don't want this person to die, this is so upsetting. I never really felt that about the characters in the first Terrifier, and that's something that is really nice here. This is also very emotional, as well as something that is so disgusting and fucked up. There's also the addition of yet another antagonist character. I won't get into it here in the spoiler-free section, we'll talk about it a little later, but I loved this character's performance, and he or she was a show stealer. I've always loved the gross out factor of the original Terrifier, but Terrifier 2 even has some terrifying moments, which are really nice. It has like these little jump scares and these visuals that are still haunting me this next morning after seeing it. Terrifier 2 was truly exceptional, and I will die on this hill when I say that it is one of the best slasher sequels of all time. All right, we're about to get into some spoiler territory, so if you have not seen Terrifier 2 yet, you get yourself on out of here. Go watch the movie and then come back, and then we can talk about this. Like I was saying earlier, Terrifier 2 is the nastiest, grossest, most filthiest piece of, oh god, what the fuck kind of movie I have ever seen in the theaters. I have never been so grossed out sitting at the movie theater in my entire life. Nothing even comes close to the experience I had with Terrifier 2 last night. The theater experience was great too. It was packed. I mean, like, there are some movies that I was like so excited for this year where I was in an empty theater almost. I'm like, really? Nobody's here for this? But Terrifier 2, man, the fans came out of the woodwork to come see this thing. People were cheering and like going, oh god, and laughing and all that. It was great. It was one of the best theater experiences I have ever had watching a horror film. On a funny side note, I did not get carded to see this movie, but I did get carded to go see the PG-13 The Invitation earlier this year. How that makes any sense, I don't know. The film picks up basically where we left Art the Clown in the last movie, which I think is actually pretty dope. And Art the Clown gets an amazing kill right off the bat. And then we have what is maybe one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie, where we see Art the Clown kind of getting humanized. He goes to the laundromat and he like just strips down. He gets completely naked for the most part, except for the makeup on his face. And he throws it in the washing machine. He's just doing his laundry at the laundromat and all that. He's just kind of reading the funny pages and cracking up. It's a really nice moment for this character, and it really builds him because you don't really know too much about Art the Clown at all. In the first movie, and also most parts of this movie, you kind of forget that there's a person underneath all that costume and makeup. This character is doing such vile things on screen, you don't really get any moments that humanize the character. And starting it off with this was just a really nice touch, I think. I really loved this. This is one of my favorite sequences in the entire movie. It's also where we're introduced to this little clown girl who is fucking terrifying. Don't quote me on this because I believe this is a first-time actress, but Emily McLean, I believe, is the character who played the creepy little little girl, and she's credited as the little pale girl for Terrifier 2, so I'm assuming that's who this is. She is so good alongside David Howard Thornton, and they're just both giving these super creepy, unreal performances. We were promised a supernatural entity to bring Art the Clown back to life. I didn't realize there would be a character that would follow through the entire movie, and at first I'm like, oh, maybe that doesn't work, but it totally does. I loved it. It was a really nice addition, and like I said, character building. She is a great Robin to Art's Batman, and I just love when they're playing bloody patty cake at the laundromat. That's just so nice and so funny. But they are just having an absolute blast in this movie. If it's them picking apart a dead possum and playing with its intestines at a high school, or maybe it's when they're prank calling Sienna and tricking her into coming to this crazy circus thing to go pick up her brother that for some reason they drugged and took there. You know what? I don't need to ask too many questions about it. I'm just like, whatever, I'll take it. This was so fun. This goes without saying, but David Howard Thornton's performance in this easily tops the first one. It is so ridiculous and so over the top, so funny. I was like dying of laughter. I had tears in my eyes at a certain sequence, which we'll talk about in a second here. I can't just come out the gate talking about the gore. I mean, come on. Lauren Lavera as Sienna Shaw, though, is maybe my favorite part of the entire movie. I mean, without her, I don't think I would have liked this movie as much. She is incredible as a final girl. The entire main family is incredibly well casted and incredibly well portrayed by all of their respective actors, and I just loved everything they did with this. You really feel sympathy for all of these characters, even the mother character, who you kind of don't like at first, but then you see a softer side to her later on. I personally think after this movie, Sienna is already cemented as one of the greatest final girls of all time. I really loved Lauren Lavera in this movie. She's amazing. She fucking killed it. Easily my favorite final girl of the year, like no contest. This is Damien Leone flexing some muscles we haven't seen too much before. It shows that he can write so much more than just these gore-filled kill sequences, and I think that's really impressive. You can see him growing as a writer with this movie. That's awesome, man. But of course, the kills are the main attraction here, and were even more satisfying than I could have ever hoped for. I noticed a nice theme with Terrifier 2. All of the kills in this movie aren't just like one thing and then it cuts to something else. They are all drawn out. Like the guy who's running the costume shop, I think it's called Abracadabra, he gets a broken bottle to the eye, and then like Art the Clown kind of like wiggles it around in his flesh, which is so fucked up. He takes a machete to his head and then decapitates him. Like, it's not just one thing to kill somebody. It's a lot of horrible things all mixed together. And then a mother and her son are walking by and they're like, oh no, the costume shop is closed. And then they look in and Art the Clown is just holding the head pretending to be an animatronic, and he just kind of goes. The costume shop sequence was amazing. To backtrack a little bit, there's this entire sequence that you've kind of already seen in the trailers where Art the Clown is messing with Sienna, but that sequence, like in context as a whole, was just so funny. I mean, I had tears in my eyes laughing. That was easily like the funniest part of the movie. Or maybe we're talking about just the tip Jeff, which is the reason I will never pee outside again. But the best kill of the movie, the thing that tops the shit from the original, is easily the scalping scene. Holy fuck, dude. Damien did not need to go this hard with this movie, but he did, and I'm thankful for it. This kill is the most drawn out, vicious thing I have ever seen in a movie. I can't even remember all of it. It goes on for so long. To put it into perspective, I mean, first the girl gets like her left eye slit open with a scalpel, then like Art starts like scalping her and rips off the top of her head and throws it against the wall. He takes out like a chunk of her knee and all this shit and rips off half of her face, and then she's still just like alive, and then her mom comes home. It's so fucking crazy. It just doesn't end. And this very unfortunate girl in question was supposed to hand out candy to the trick-or-treaters coming by, and like you kind of see her doing that before the kill, but then later on you see Art the Clown with her head, and he's like hollowed it out, ripped out her brain and all that, filled it with candy, and then is passing it out to kids like all fucking crazy. The best part about that sequence is this one kid goes to take more than one and he smacks his hand, he's like, only one. That's gonna live rent-free in my head for a few weeks, I think. That is so funny. And this movie has an epic final battle sequence between Sienna and Art, which just is really nice. It goes on for maybe a smidge too long, but besides that, I have no complaints. I think that this movie is fucking epic. Everybody was amazing. This is truly a rare gem in horror that we don't get all too often. With some surreal visuals, some jaw-dropping fucking kills, and just an amazing plot overall, I loved Terrifier 2. I give this puppy a 9.5 out of 10. I'm gonna start doing this thing in my review videos where I rank all the movies that I see this year. If it makes it to my top 10, I'll have this little segment. Obviously, Terrifier 2 is definitely making my top 10, and personally, I might put it at number 3 for the entire year right now. That is, of course, very close behind Barbarian and X from earlier this year. What did you guys think about Terrifier 2, though? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching this brand new review video of Art the Clown's Terrifier 2. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, do all that YouTuber stuff. I would greatly appreciate it. Support me on Patreon too if you can, or become a channel member by clicking that join button on my page. Thank you guys so much for watching again, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.